Welcome to this episode of my podcast. My name is Kalsoom, and I specialize in training medical professionals how to get the score they need in IELTS or OET so that they can get their dream job, take their career to the next level, and start living their best life with their families by providing them with bigger and better opportunities. Before I start with the main topic for this week's episode, I just want to make you aware of how you can use this podcast to your maximum advantage. This is no ordinary podcast. You can use this podcast by one, simply listening to the podcast to get some advice that will help you in your IELTS or OET preparation. Number two, actively listening to this podcast to improve your listening skills. I try to keep it short. I know you guys are very busy people, but you can use it for focused listening practice. So you can use the show notes, which is a complete transcript of each episode. You can read the episode as you listen and analyze the language, learn new words or phrases, practice pronunciation and intonation. Number three, also included in the show notes are some comprehension style questions that you can use by reading the transcript, using your skimming and scanning techniques to answer the questions. Answers are provided at the end, but you can also check your answers by listening to the podcast. Number four, you can use it as a listening test and answer the same questions while listening. And number five, I also include a brief analysis of some useful words or phrases that I have used in the podcast, which you can learn. So it's up to you how you would like to use this tool. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and social media so that more people can benefit from it too.
Hi, and welcome to this episode. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your preparation is going well. Before we get started into the main topic, a few reminders as always. In the show notes, you'll find lots of free help and advice for OET and IELTS. For OET, you'll find the link to download my free training, Preparing for OET Success. This is a series of 5 lessons, taking you through all aspects of the OET test, what you need to know, and how you should be preparing. Secondly, you'll find links to my free OET study Facebook group and my IELTS free study group Facebook group as well. Here I share free tips and advice on how you should be preparing and on each aspect of the test as well. Also, you'll find links to join my flagship OET membership group, OET Success Membership, if you would like to join that and get daily lessons and feedback for your speaking and writing. So that's how you can join. Also, you'll have my email address and other ways you can contact me if you have any questions. So the topic of this episode is how to analyze any IELTS writing Task 2 question. So firstly, why have I chosen this topic for this episode? One of the main reasons why students don't get the score that they need in writing, in my experience, is that they don't answer the question properly. And the reason they don't answer the question properly is because they never took the time to read the question properly in the first place and fully understand what the question was asking before they started writing. And this is a huge, huge mistake. And I see this happen, I see students do this again and again and again. In order to get a high mark, you must understand what the question is asking. And you also need to be very familiar with each type of question that can come up in Task 2 and familiar with the wording of these types of questions. So there are 5 different types of questions, 5 different question types that come up in Task 2. The first one is opinion essays. So, sometimes called agree and disagree questions. The second type is discussion questions or discuss both views. The third is advantages and disadvantages. The fourth is problems and solutions or causes and solutions essays. And the fifth one is double questions. Now, why do we need to be familiar with the wording to these types of question? Why is this important? Each type of question affects the language you will use to answer the question. So the language used for an opinion essay, the structure of the actual essay, the grammar structures will be different to that of an advantages and disadvantages question. It also affects the structure of the essay. It gives you, and once you understand the structure that you need to follow for each type of essay, and it helps you with your confidence, because as soon as you see the question type, you know exactly what structure and language to use. So you'll be able to quickly plan out your essay. So not only does it give you confidence, but it helps you to plan out your essay as well. You'll know exactly what to do as soon as you see that type of question. So that's the first thing you need to be clear on. What is the type? What is the question type? And what language, what structure do you need to use? That's the first thing. Then you need to focus on the question itself and analyze what the question is asking you to write about. If you don't break down the question and understand what the question is asking, and therefore you don't answer all parts of the question, it doesn't matter how good your essay is. You could write a band 9 essay, in terms of the English, the grammar, the structure, everything. It doesn't matter how good your essay is, you won't score higher than a band 5 for task response, because you haven't actually answered the question properly. So how do you analyze the question? Any task 2 question, so doesn't matter what type of question you have in front of you, you need to break that question down into 3 parts. The first part is your topic words. You need to identify what the topic is. The second thing is the key words. What are the key words in the question? And the third is the instruction words. What type of essay basically are you writing? So let's take a look at an essay question. And I've included it in the show notes as well for you to look at. And the question is, some experts believe that it is better to begin a foreign language at primary school rather than secondary school. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So I'll read it again. Some experts believe that it is better to begin a foreign language at primary school rather than secondary school. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So in this question, we need to first identify the topic words, the key words, and then the instruction words. So like I said, in the show notes, I've included the question, and I've also broken it down into these 3 parts. So I've kind of color-coded it so you can see which are the topic words, which are the key words, and what are the instruction words. So the instruction words, let's do that first, because that's quite straightforward, isn't it? It's easy. We have to identify the advantages. Sorry, we have to talk about the advantages and disadvantages, right? So those are the instructions. So that's the easy bit out of the way. So now the topic. What is the topic and the key words? So the topic is foreign languages. We're talking about foreign languages. The key words are children. We're talking specifically about children who are in primary school rather than secondary school. So it's a comparison between children in primary school and children in secondary school. So the topic is foreign languages in the context of children learning foreign languages in primary school rather than starting in secondary school, right? The mistake that most students make here is that they'll look at the topic and they would just start writing about the advantages and disadvantages of children learning a foreign language. That's what they'll pick up. If you did that, then you wouldn't get higher than a band 5 for task response, because you have not answered the question properly. The question is asking about children learning a foreign language earlier in primary school rather than later on in secondary school. That is what you have to talk about. The advantages and disadvantages of learning for children learning a foreign language earlier in primary school rather than waiting later when they reach secondary school. So the skill you need to learn here is, as soon as your test starts, is to read the question and identify the key words, the topic, and the instruction words. And you must learn to do this for every single question type. So a great way to practice is to get a few task 2 questions, try to get as many question types as you can, and spend 2 minutes analyzing the question, and do exactly what I just did and what I've shown you in the show notes, and identify the topic, the keywords, and the instruction words, and get used to doing that in 2 minutes. It shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. And then, the way you should structure your writing time is that you spend 2 minutes, and it might even take you less than 2 minutes. If you practice this enough, you may be able to do it in 1 minute. You may become really, really good at it if you practice a lot. It may just take you a minute just to analyze the question and break it down into these 3 parts so you understand fully what the question is asking you and what your essay actually has to address. And then you would spend another 5 minutes, so 1 to 2 minutes, breaking down the question, understanding what is being asked, and then spend 5 minutes planning out your essay. And I've talked about planning before in previous episodes, so you can go back and listen to that. Planning out your essay, and then you begin writing your essay. And you can look at previous episodes where I've talked about the advantages of doing that rather than just going straight into writing. So I hope you found this helpful. I would love your feedback. And if you have any suggestions for any other aspects of IELTS or even OET that you would like me to talk about, just get in contact with me by email. And I look forward to hearing from you. And until the next episode, take care and keep practicing.
I really hope you have found this episode useful. Please let me know if you have. I would love to get your feedback. And if there is something you would like me to do an episode on, for IELTS or for OET, please just let me know. The details on how you can contact me are in the show notes of this episode. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you are not willing to change or implement advice and you keep doing the same thing, you will keep getting the same results again and again. Real progress, real improvement comes when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and on your social media so that more people can benefit too. Take care and keep working hard.